What would happen if you plug your engine block warmer into your Pro Power onboard? Let's start up the truck and see what happens. Right away, it lets us know that something is plugged into the outlet. Do you want to supply power? Let's go ahead and say yes. You are now in generator mode. Also, my map is now pulled up. Let's go ahead and hit features and Pro Power on board right into the computer. And there you have it. 830 watts is now being supplied to the engine. So the question is why? Why would I want to do this? I mean, the truck has to be running in order to supply the power to the engine block warmer, and if the truck is already running, then it kind of defeats the purpose. And the reason I want to make this video and talk about this is because I did this as a short and it got a ton of views, ton of comments, ton of attention, and I kind of want to go into it and explain why I would even be interested in trying this out to see what would happen and what the thought process is behind this. So first and foremost, we've got the Pro Power on board. It's an independent system where the truck has an extra generator under the hood that supplies 24 volt power to an inverter that is located underneath the seat in the back. It has its own set of AGM batteries that are tied into that system, and it will charge those two batteries and power up the system that provides 120 volt to these outlets throughout the truck. So Pro Power, we've got the plug in the bed. You've got your outlets here in the rear. There's a button right there that you can turn on the system from being just back here. And yeah, pretty cool. It's a pretty cool system overall. It does have its drawbacks, which I've talked about in previous videos. Check out the channel to find those videos. And it's got its, obviously it's got its pros where you've got 120 volt power. You can charge batteries. You can put like 2 or 3 Milwaukee superchargers on here, DeWalt, whatever brand you run. You can run stuff on here. Although it does kind of fall short, at the same time it can run some pretty big items. So the thought process of running this on this truck, where why would you even think about this? Why would you even consider doing this? So my thought process, and I have to admit I have no idea what the outcome is going to be from doing this. But if this truck idles in cold weather, it doesn't run hot enough, and that is going to be a condition for all diesel engines because they run on pressure, because they run on compression. When the weather gets cold, they don't make enough heat to be efficient. So the combustion process in the engine does not make enough heat. It doesn't burn efficiently, and it's just not good for the engine, particularly when it's cold, but probably any time in general to be idling the engine without kicking it up into high idle. So if you have one of these trucks, and you idle it often, you really should turn on your high idle. Basically, it allows you to kick up the idle so that it runs a little faster, it makes a little heat. What I've noticed owning these diesels for a few years now, if it's freezing outside and the truck is idling, you can just watch your temperature gauge on the coolant just drop. It doesn't make heat in the cab. There's not enough heat to even have the HVAC, to even have heat from the HVAC. But more importantly, the engine is not running hot enough, and the combustion is not burning completely enough, and it's wet stacking your engine. It's putting fuel into your oil. It's just not good for the motor, particularly when it's cold. Sometimes even when it's hot out, it's just not good to idle because they're just not making enough heat. So if you have one of these trucks and you ever wonder, out of the blue, why did the idle just kick up on the truck? It just freaking starts running faster. And then as soon as you touch the brake, it just kicks it down. Well, the reason that it's doing that is because the computer inside of the system has decided that this is not good for us to be running at this speed. Let's kick up the idle for a little while. Let's get our coolant temps up. Let's get our EGTs up so that the engine is not in a bad place. It's not good to idle this motor in cold weather. So the computer just kicks up the idle. Sometimes it does it even when it's warm. That's just the engine protecting itself from extended idles with not enough heat. So like I say, what I notice is when we're running this engine, the coolant will run cold. So my thought process was, I am wondering if this engine is not making enough coolant temperature, would this being plugged in while idling be something that works? I don't know if it would. I don't know if it's enough heat. It keeps the coolant temperature at about 100 degrees, even with the engine off. So would that be enough heat to keep the truck happy, or to actually have any kind of effect? A lot of people, I've read the comments, a lot of people say that won't do nothing because it's not enough. Some people thought it was just the worst thing ever, that it would break the engine block heater. I don't know. I am going to be trying this out though. When it gets colder outside, I'm going to actually plug in the truck when it's cold and see what kind of effect it has on coolant temperature. Because when it's cold out and this truck's sitting, even when you kick it into high idle, you can see the coolant temperature pop up a little bit, but it doesn't really come up to a real happy temperature. It helps a little, especially when it's real cold. The high idle helps a little, but I'm wondering what the effect of this will be. So we're gonna find out when it gets cold enough. But I wanted to make this video so that people could see, or so I could explain what my thought process was. I'm being attacked by bees. So there's been times in the winter where I've had to actually sleep in the truck with it running when I've been out plowing, and it's like I get into a situation where I may be waiting on the supplier to open up. This actually happened last winter where it was like, I don't know, 5 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm waiting for a supplier to open up for salt. I got like an hour wait. I'm tired. I might as well try to get 1 hour sleep so that until they open. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn off the truck. No, I'm going to run the truck in high idle. Okay, 1 second. I'm going to run the truck in high idle and then take my nap, and then when they open. So that's one of the situations where it's like, when would you ever do this? When would you ever want your engine to be making more heat? Well, in the very cold winter, and you have to leave the truck running. And I've seen people leave their diesels running, not even high idling. I guess they don't know about wet stacking, about keeping the engine combustion temperatures at a high enough temperature so that the combustion is complete enough for the engine not to cause extra wear on the rings, extra wear on the cylinder bores. So it's actually better to run the engine when it's cold, to run the engine at a faster RPM when you're dealing with diesels. So let's take a quick look at some of the comments left on the short that I made and see if maybe this answered any questions. So here's the short pulled up. 40 comments. Someone said, this is user IR1, IR3, DI2. I'm not going to read these names. It says unlimited power. It says, I wouldn't rely on it in cold weather. I think the truck will start if needed. Absolutely. The truck will absolutely start if needed. And the thought process of doing this with the Pro Power is to actually have it running to see what it would do to the coolant, any pros or cons, or if it would just be, like I said, I don't know if this is just going to be the most awful thing ever and the worst thing to do to your truck, or if this would be a way to get the coolant temperatures up a hair when it's too cold for the diesel engine. I don't know. What will happen? Absolutely nothing. That's fine. Just get in the damn truck and go. Thought for sure it would cause a chain reaction ultimately in the world. Seriously, who thought this was worth sharing? Like I said, this is something that a lot of people would never even think about, never consider. Your engine's idling characteristics when it's really cold out. Should you even think about that? Is that even a thing to ever think about? It's like, maybe I'm just wrong, and it happens. Sometimes you want to try stuff out and you do something and there's a risk that what you do could be awful, wrong, just the dumbest thing ever. And sometimes, you got to just take that risk. Put yourself out there and be exposed as a dummy. All right, let's see. Engine block is input plug and designed for output. Why would you want to do it? Okay. Since the truck is running in generator mode, it's pointless. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. If you started the truck, then you have already skipped the block warmer. You goof. Yes, like I said, a lot of people don't know that the engine does not idle hot enough when it's cold. So that's something that people need to know, I guess. Overheat the motor. Honestly, possibility for sure, but I think the coolant system can just take the heat back out of the engine, like the fan could just remove enough heat or it wouldn't be a big issue. Looks to me like an expensive shit to repair. Nope. It's a block heater. It's got all that BS, but yet you didn't automatically heat the block and you have to plug it in. It's fine. Plug it in like it's in the 50s. Why even buy a new truck? So the truck's always going to start. These new diesels, they're going to start. Should you plug them in? It depends. Like if you want to own your truck for a long time, I guess, like a real long time, and if you're plugging it in, then it's going to start better. You're going to have heat faster, and you're going to be wearing the engine less because you have a warm engine when you start it up. And there's a lot more wear on these diesels that happen when they start up really cold. So yeah, I guess, you don't have to plug them in, but it is a good thing to plug them in. So comment below again, people. Let me know your thoughts. This is an experiment I'm doing, and I know it's not recommended by Ford, and I'm not telling nobody to try it. But what would be the implications of having a plug in the front of the truck where you literally can just plug in? There's the fan running. We should probably unplug this thing. But what would the implications be of plugging in your truck if you're doing a lot of idling? They've gone through the trouble this year of including a whole kit that installs to cover your grill for cold weather operation. Would this be a significant enough amount of power? The screen says it's 800 watts. I think this actually is more than 800 watts. But would that be enough heat added to the coolant system to actually have an effect on this engine idling in cold? I'm going to find that out when it gets cold. So subscribe to the channel if that's something that you would be interested in seeing. But until it gets cold enough, right now it's like 50, 65. I don't even know the temperature. But we're going to try that out when it gets cold enough, and we'll see what happens. But anyway, guys, my name is Sean. This is DS Trucks. Comment below and hope to hear from you soon. Over and out.